for this podcast is bad. Slow week for pool.
Slow week for
I
pool. Oh no!
I meant to change. I
played pool
that, and
every day this week. Was not slow at all.
People expect mediocrity from you, Nate. You're not letting anyone down.
Except for my new computer. That's not mediocre, Jim.
Oh yeah, your computer. You got your computer.
I love it. This thing's awesome, man. I'm telling you.
Techie nerd guys. Right. Give them a little bit of something, and
yeah, crazy, isn't it?
As the title. Oh, let's get rid of that. As the title would suggest, it's a little bit of a slow week for pool. So we're gonna take this as an opportunity to do some plugging in the beginning of the podcast. I will start because why not? We are doing apparel. We are going to have new apparel coming out, which means that this is the opportunity for everybody to put in custom orders. There it is right there, Rob. If you would like a custom anything, whether it's a hoodie, a long sleeve, a V-neck, a tank top, a new set of underwear. I know Jim's already ordered 40 of those that are custom. You can order anything that you want to basically get made up. And once it's done, I'll send it out to you. So if you are out there I guess, tuning in and you've always wanted a V-neck, but we don't have like a V-neck type of t-shirt. I know that Dom ordered 20 of the cutoffs so that he can wear it against Cleary to intimidate him with those massive muscles.
The belly shirts, huh?
The dad bod shirts. The dad bod shirts.
That's like absolutely.
No, listen, that might be $1 million idea right there, boys. You never know. Just on gag gifts alone, you know.
Well, I guess you can't argue with that. But I would like to. All right, so if you would like a custom anything, reach out to myself. You can reach out to the podcast. You can reach out to the website, cueituppodcast.com, and just let us know what you want. We'll get it ordered up and sent out. And I don't really know what Rob is doing right now, but
I'm reaching out.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, you already got your custom order in, and we'll get that to you once you get it. So my next announcement, we are doing an Air Rush giveaway. So we are going to be giving away a Predator Air Rush. The way that you enter into it is you just sign up for the podcast or you sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/QItUp. I will put that in the comments right now, /QItUp. And one of the lucky Patreons to the podcast will get a free Air Rush just for being a part of the Patreon. So, yeah, well, maybe I will. Who knows? So that is in the comments right there. And I do want to give a thank you really quick to the ones that signed up. I normally do this in the beginning of the podcast, but I'll do it right now. Thank you very much to Patrick Neal, Rodrigo Delgado,
O'Neill,
and David Wiersma, the Worm. Thank you very much for your addition to that as well. Oh, yeah, and Ryan Walker as well. So thank you very much to you guys. You guys are going to be entered into a drawing to win a free Predator Air Rush, which is in the comments right there. And that is all of my announcements to get out of the way in the beginning. So, Molina Mike, take it away for whatever you want to plug.
No, I don't got a whole lot. Just keeping out on my pages, selling a bunch of stuff, getting ready to travel in the next month. So, at my personal, Molina Mike, or at Windows Open, got a bunch of stuff lined up in the next 3 months. So, it's going to be awesome.
It's definitely the page that you're going to want to follow. I will put that also in the comments right now. So go over and make sure to like and follow Molina Mike's page, Windows Open. And yeah, it's good stuff. Jim, anything? Rob, anything?
I got nothing, pretty quiet at the moment, recovering from Mosconi and from a little bout of COVID. So I got nothing going on at the moment personally. Still playing in it. Yeah, get over to the CSL IPL, the online pool league, and have a look over there, CSL IPL. Get in touch with them, and if you want to play some online challenges and some online leagues, very good league that I'm involved in, very well run. Grant Zemp and Ben Francis doing a great job over there. So if you're interested,
Grant is a good guy.
You got a table at home or a table you've got access to, you want to play some ghost pool for a little bit of money, a little bit of practice, get over there and check it out. Other than that, I got nothing else really.
They're good guys too.
Yeah, I got. I'll plug an upcoming 3-cushion event. It's going to be held. Mazen Shuni is running it. It's going to be held at Casino del Sol in Tucson, Arizona. And it will be running from the 2nd of January through the 8th. There's 60-some players in a B tournament, in a handicap tournament, in a open event, and then in a Scotch doubles event, team event, where you can have one master player basically and one under one, I guess, something like that. So that's going to be going on for a week. I will be there in attendance with a few other players from Wisconsin, and that is going to be streamed. PPDD, something like that. PBBTV.
One more time.
G.
Can you do that one more time, Rob?
I'm not sure. BBTV or something. Southern California, I think they are. But they do a lot of the 3-cushion events. And so this should be fun because I'll be playing in the handicap event because I'm a beginner in 3-cushion. So I'll be getting spotted. Say if I play somebody like Pedro Buena, he'll be spotting me 20 to go into 40. So nice. I'll be liking that because I just played Frankie Torres and Hugo Patino here in Madison, and we went to 25, and I got to 13 respectively with both. So that kind of spot for me will be real competitive. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Well, go, buddy.
Go for it.
Jim, can I say that you're the one that gave me COVID? Is that fair to say that, by the way? I think that you were the one who gave me COVID.
Well, you were the one that kept following me around, licking me and stuff like that, and trying to cuddle me and want photographs and kept asking for my autograph and everything. So I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's your own fault, really.
Hopefully you boys were manscaped, huh?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't in any case.
Manscaped 4.0.
But I guess anyone who's watching, like Nate said, this is going to be a little bit of a slow week. We've got a couple of topics we're going to go over, but I mean, this is your opportunity. If there's anything that you want to hear our opinions on that's been going on, that's going to happen, then whack it in the comments, and I'm sure we can come up with something to keep you entertained or give our opinions on whatever's going on. So feel free. This is your opportunity.
Way to go, Jim.
Doesn't there have to be somebody watching before we get a comment?
Well, we always get
we just have to start talking about the Moscone Cup, and then we start going crazy. So why don't we do? We haven't heard from Jim, we haven't heard from Molina Mike, and we haven't heard from Rob yet. I gave all my opinions. Jim, you were there with me? So what would you like to start out for topics for the Moscone Cup?
I mean, yeah, there's going to be the standard things that create the big conversations, a couple of the calls that were made by the referee during the matches, and the little bit of controversy that's going on about that. I think there's been enough said about that, to be honest. Everyone's got a different opinion on it. For me, the one thing I would like to highlight is two people in the team that I was very, very impressed with, and one that I was very disappointed with. I'll start with the positive. I was very impressed with how Jeremy handled the whole situation. I thought he did a great job. We spoke to him before the Mosconi Cup, and we discussed maybe where his slight shortcomings were in 2020 with, trying to pick the team up and be a motivator and get the spark back in the team when things were going against him. I think he led from the front. He was put in a real tough situation with having to play. He showed heart on the table. He showed fight in the seat while he was watching. He was involved. He was engaged in everything. And I thought under the circumstances, I thought Jeremy did a great job. And I personally would like to see Matchroom pretty much immediately already announce that he's getting a third try, so he can already start thinking and start perhaps contacting a group of players to say, listen, you're on my radar. This is what I expect from you this year. This is what I expect to see from you if you really want to be part of this and put yourself in with a shout, so that he can already start getting players involved in the whole build up to the Moscone. And I think he deserves another shot. If anyone's doubting whether or not it should be him, then I think 100%. I think he did a great job considering. He wasn't ready to play. I mean, he did his best, and he could have come out with a point against Al Qaeda if certain circumstances hadn't happened the way they'd happened. And the other one was, I think, if you're going to have a vice captain, get a vice captain, not a playing vice captain.
I agree with that.
And it doesn't have to be a pool player. I think a lot of people are stuck in the idea that it has to be somebody who's been in the pool world or has been a player in order to come into one of those roles, captain or vice captain. I completely disagree. I mean, Jeremy knows enough about the game. He knows enough about the players. What they need in there is somebody that will get them prepared mentally to go out there and keep them mentally prepared, even when things are going against them. From what I saw from Shane, he got frustrated and he wasn't there for the rest of his team. Skylar and even Chris were doing more of, approaching the chair when their fellow players were playing and picking them up and giving them the fist pump or the high five and getting them motivated. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I haven't really heard anything from Shane since there, but the whole vice captaincy thing didn't work for him. And I think it's time for them to, Shane's a player. There's been talk about him not playing Mosconi or not being selected. That's just rubbish. You don't leave Shane Van out with the team. That's just stupid. You don't have you don't have 6 Shane Van Bonings to choose from, so you can't leave one behind. That's crazy talk. But he's a player, and he just stick as a player. I thought Skylar had another fantastic Mosconi. He was far and away the strongest American player. He's almost. I mean, he's not USA's number one for 48 weeks of the year. For 51 weeks of the year. He's not USA's number one player, but for those 4 days, he is and has been for the last few years. Yeah. And
very well put.
For me, Shane's had his spots in the team, and Darren Appleton mentioned it before that they always knew where Shane was going to play as the strongest player and the number one player. If I'm Jeremy or the next captain, hopefully it is Jeremy, I'd almost be thinking, you know what? Skylar is that guy now. He's proven it over the last few years. Let's give him the leading role. Let's give him the big matches, the matches that are seen as the big momentum changers or the big points, and give Sky that, because he's proven it the last few years, and he was solid again. He played great, I thought. Again, Shane's still the number one American player, but for some reason in that Mosconi setting over those 4 days, it's Skylar, and it has been.
Right.
So why not put the faith in him and give him that responsibility and give him that chance?
Yeah.
Other than that, I enjoyed myself. Thought it was a great setup again. I was disappointed in the crowd behaviour. As a European fan, I was a little embarrassed a lot of the time by some of the things that I saw and heard. I've spoken to a few people.
Part of that outfit.
Yeah, but some of the things that we witnessed threatening behaviour towards us and towards other people. People were leaving because they felt like it was too threatening, the behaviour between some of the fans. And these are European fans against other European fans.
This is European fans on European fans.
This is not European fans towards American fans. This is within their own crowd. And obviously they weren't there for the pool. A lot of them weren't there for the pool. They were just there to get drunk as much as possible, and it's almost like they'd been let out of their cage after being locked up with the whole COVID thing for a while, and they just were behaving like animals, and it was embarrassing to see. I'm glad I've watched it back, and you didn't really get that idea over the television, which I was glad. Over the TV, you didn't really hear these individual things that were being said and the arguments that were happening in the crowd and stuff like that. There was apparently somebody was sick over the person in front of them. There was another one who decided that it was too much trouble for him to go to the toilet, so he was urinating in the large buckets that you got. Was just sat there, and this is all happening, and nothing's being controlled by the security there, and the referee had a very difficult time.
Poor guy, nobody saw him pull it out. I mean, what are we talking about here?
We got the inside story here, pool fans.
And,
I didn't even know this.
These are all things that were happening, and it has to be controlled a little bit better, in my opinion. But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Besides that,
yeah. If the guy that had been sick was sick over me, or it was the guy beside me that was urinating in the bucket, then okay, I'd have been a bit annoyed. But myself and Nate, we witnessed threatening behaviour towards us on day 3. The group of guys in front of us they were more busy with trying to get us angry and trying to piss us off than they were watching the pool, and they were threatening us, and it was like,
really,
yeah. So
Yeah, they didn't like Jim.
But
Did you tell him that you have your own podcast?
Yeah.
I did. He wanted to fight me more.
Neight didn't help because Neight turned around to one of the guys and said, "Do you even realize who you're talking to?" And I'm like, "Neight, shut up." The guy doesn't care. But the other guy that was sitting on the other side of me, Cookie, who goes with me every year, he's massive and he's built like an absolute tank. He actually stood up and left, and the security said, "You can't stand up now. You can't leave. There's a match going on." He says, "If I don't leave now, then I'm going to end up in a fight with the guy in front of me. So you better leave. Let me leave now." And then they started to keep an eye on this group, and it quietened down. But yeah, it wasn't always nice. It wasn't always.
I think to be fair, I think most I would say 95% of the bad stuff that happened on day 3.
Day 3 seemed to be a bad day.
Day 3 was a bad day. Yeah. I thought day 1 and day 2 were fine. Besides, I guess Retappies in the chats right now, he tried to fight me on day 1. He didn't like me very much. So besides him, being completely unruly on day 1, I thought the event was good except for day 3.
And I absolutely hated the extension every time somebody asked me. I mean, it's.
Yeah,
it's
but Jim,
I think everybody on earth.
But Jim,
you know what? This is not a new thing. This is not a new thing. And the people that are screaming it are thinking that they've invented it. But this was happening like 8 years ago. But it was only happening maybe once every day. And it was like, it would get a giggle. Now they seem to
got carried away really bad in 2018.
People are going to laugh every single time. It's not funny anymore. It's just irritating.
I don't know, Jim. I gotta push back on that a little bit. I mean, I feel like every one of these extensions. I feel like every one of these extensions, it's like a beautiful snowflake. They're all unique in their own ways, and you need you need to treat these extensions with the true respect that they deserve, and the fact that they are art. Right, every single one of them is unique in its own way, and it's beautiful to hear.
It's comedy gold. It's comedy gold. It's genius. It's so amazingly creative that you have to appreciate the comedy genius behind it. But anyway, let's leave it at that. It got enough attention over the 4 days. Let's not give it any more.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, I gave my opinion last time when I was with Darren. So, I mean, I don't have too much to add based off of what Jim said. So, I guess, Mike, as far as being home watching it, let's start with you. What you got?
No, I mean, for us at home, we didn't really get too much of, those kind of details, or that kind of vibe. It was the atmosphere came through really nicely, though. I know that when things started to turn, maybe more American fans were, complaining, well, they're quiet down the shot, or the referee is not being in control. I don't know, man. I like seeing crowd interaction in sporting events, and it's like that. I don't care if you're shooting a free throw and they're trying to go and shark you, or if whatever it is, right? If you're going for a kick in soccer, I mean, just pick the sport, I guess aside from golf, but I like the way it came through on the television. I do, man. With the music and the dancing, and it was good seeing fans back. I know that a lot of people are really excited for Vegas, though. It's not even a matter of like, oh, it was 11-5. Like, it's like, oh, we're gonna get them, and we'll see you guys next year. And I think a lot of the fans.
It's 11-5 or 11-6.
11-6. Yeah, 11-6.
Yeah, I think 11-6.
But a lot of fans are like, we want to be there and go and support our team, from the American side of things, and want to be a part of that experience. And as someone who hasn't necessarily had like the Mosconi Cup, because it was so one-sided for so many years, I didn't always like look at it in the greatest light at times. But over the last like 5 years, it's just grown and just been completely on the upside. And despite the 11-6,
how much hate it gets.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're always going to have haters no matter what you're doing, and people are always going to go and criticize and assume and post things online that they know this or that or whatever. I mean, we'll get to the bottom of some of these things here sooner than later, but overall, yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. I'm looking forward to Vegas for the first time in years of actually going and seeing the Mosconi Cup. I can't wait for tickets to go on sale come February. A lot of the scorelines, USA left a lot of points on the table, and we know the big ones, but there were a lot of like 3-1 matches in favor of Team USA that they didn't close on that they should have. So it really leads me to be optimistic of what their chances will be like come December, and really, like everybody, just give them more respect. I know there's a lot of things that they could have worked on collectively, but hell, man, they weren't a pushover, and it was completely different than what it was last year for me. Just seeing the type of people they are. So, but yeah, I mean,
6-3. Should have been 6-3 at the end of day 2, and then you've got a completely different match. Then you got a completely different
listen,
match.
I would say,
Right.
and if it is, it's a completely different Mosconi Cup because Filler's not as sharp playing from behind. I don't care what anybody says. I've watched a lot of Filler play. He's great whenever he gets off early and he jumps on you and puts his foot on your throat. He's not the same player that you go and get from behind. As much as Jason can be enthusiastic and keep everyone on their heels, well, let them be 3 games behind and see how much enthusiasm and positive energy he has. It would have completely changed the dynamic of that. I mean, it's not understated, but it didn't take away from what was still a great Mosconi Cup for me, because there were still plenty of things that I just absolutely loved, man. I love the drama of it all. I love the controversy, good or bad. I love people talking about it. Some of the jerks online I could do without, but I love people I love seeing their passion though in general, and I can kind of and it's only once a year that we really see these kind of like emotions from people when it comes to pool, and it's only during the Mosconi Cup. So I want to see that happen more year round. During that loose pool podcast they did go and hint on having more of a proper system for the Americans and the Europeans. So I'm looking forward to that whenever that's announced. Kind of take more of the politics out of it and really just have it be based off of, well, at least the better part based off of players' abilities. And then I want to see what else they're going to go and complain about, because inevitably it'll be something else. But no, I just an event, and I look forward to it come December. And for the first time, I'm going to be there, so I'm doubly excited for sure.
Man, Noble wasn't kidding. I just got a video of some dude pissing in a bottle. I didn't want to see that, but I got the video of it. He wasn't kidding. I should throw it on here and make the idiot famous.
No, don't give him any more than he's already got.
We've had enough Telfer moments the last 6 weeks. We don't need any more. We don't need extra fuel to that fire.
What I will say was I spoke to pretty much all the players, not all the American players. I think to Skylar and to Chris and Tyler, and the European players, and they all said that at no stage did they feel like the behavior of the crowd or the noise or the shouts was affecting the way they were playing. So
they're professionals.
Fair play.
They're all
USA players, none of them used that excuse. They could easily have turned around and say, "Yeah, the crowd." None of them actually said that to me. They were all like that. Look, it's Mosconi. The atmosphere was electric. It was loud. It was, and I think even Chris said to me, "Yeah, it was loud, but it was still better than playing with nobody there." And which is what he did the last time. So
sure.
They didn't give me the vibe, or they didn't say to me directly that the crowd affected the way they were playing. I think you saw it on Sky. He was enjoying it. He was smiling. Yeah. He was one of the few people in the arena that had a smile on his face when people were shouting extension.
I want to just follow up real quick on something that Jim said earlier, just about the Shane thing and being a vice captain. I think it should go to Sky. If you're gonna have someone that's on the team be a vice captain, then I would say have it be Sky, because he's that guy to me that can live up to like all those expectations plus still play great pool. And I don't think Sky's the type of guy where he'll take it as like more responsibility. I think that's just his personality, is to uplift people and to give them motivation in that kind of setting. Like, I don't think he has to try for it. Whereas Shane maybe has to kind of like push himself to be that guy in those moments because it doesn't come naturally to him. But, on the other hand, I'm sure if Pinoza was here, he would say, keep it someone who's not even a player, and I can agree with that.
I think that's the best. That's the best, is just have one job for one person, and that's it. Yeah.
Why is Ryan dogging on my dancing? I thought my dancing was fine.
Oh, shots fired.
That's not very nice.
It was more than just your dancing; it was offensive. Your general behavior.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. All right, Rob, what do you think? you watched all of
Yeah,
this.
I
bet
did.
Are your
I
eyes
watched,
done bleeding yet?
I watched every second of this thing, and I wish there was more. I wanted more when it ended. I said, "Give me more of this."
No
That's for
kidding.
sure. There wasn't any aspect of this that I can downgrade in any way. Every part of this performance, Europeans and American team, the players, it was great pool, great fun to watch. I had people who were at this local pool hall I go to that were watching the streams every day. They were talking about things and which they normally wouldn't have before. All the players and Jeremy's performance really in that situation, yes, of course, it was actually tremendous. That his overall and the way he handled the team while being thrown into that at the same time, he's still got to do
Phenomenal.
his job as the coach, and now he's got to play. Come on, that was remarkable, that whole performance. Matchroom did just a superb job for sure. From a fan's perspective, we had the opportunity to replay anything we wanted to do at any time. You guys watching it live couldn't do that. You can't say, I want to watch that over again. Let me do it. At home, we could do it over and over, so we could.
I went days later and watched that last rack between David and
what a rack. Best rack of pool that's ever been played.
Absolutely.
David and Jeremy.
Yeah,
I have a few times.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question. I mean, and some of the shot making was phenomenal, and some of the shot making wasn't so much. But you could go back and look at it, and from my perspective, I analyze everything. That's what I like about pool. And I would go back and say, why did the guy miss the shot? Why? There has to be a reason why. And sure enough, you go back and you go, yep, there it is. There's that reason. There's that same old thing that affects all pool players, affecting the best in the world under these extreme circumstances of playing.
Well, the pressure 4-inch pockets are going to go and do that to you.
Yeah,
right,
and especially off the short rails, off the end rails. Any ball that was a little short off the end rails was not going in. The long rails, a little different story. At the right speed or whatever, some of the pockets were taking some shots. But no, you couldn't undercut a shot going in along the short rail. That was not happening. So that one was entertaining. The other thing I really liked was the fact they weren't breaking and running every rack. There was messes. And now you get to see pool at a higher level.
Racks.
Yes, the chess game pool being played by very intelligent pool players and very skilled pool players, and the give and take and what's going to happen. I'm going to push out, but what am I going to push out to? I love those kind of situations. And the guys go, no, you shoot it. Well, then you kick the ball in or jump it in or do something else. Spectacular. That jump shot Sky made with the shape he got on the next ball on the other rail, full length table, the ball bounced like 3 feet away from the 2 ball. And then he lands right on the 2 and knocks it in.
His instincts are phenomenal.
I mean, come on.
And his execution.
That was like one of the greatest jump shots I've ever seen. And before he shot it, I'm thinking, is he going to fly this ball all the way to the 2, or what's going to happen here? So that was just remarkable. The other thing I really liked was the commentary. The commentators were so good. They're so knowledgeable about the game, so entertaining. You saw the.
Well, I was going to bring this up, so I'm glad you did it. I
What's
want to hear you and Molina Mike's take on the commentary. I was going to bring this up after this, so I'm glad that you did it. I want to hear you guys' thoughts, not only in the commentary, but individually, Niels and Kelly. I guess individuals, because I mean, Niels might be the best commentator out there.
They were wonderful.
For my money, but
yeah, both of them. You see the game from so many perspectives when they're the ones doing the commentary. It's not just this ball's going to be potted there or pocketed there or whatever. It's what are they thinking before they shoot? What are they thinking while they shoot? Or should they be thinking anything? Or you just get pool knowledge coming out your ear. So that was fun for me. I really enjoyed that commentary. And then, of course, the production itself, the matchroom production, the shots going in and coming back out from the table and the different angles. And it was just a wonderful thing to watch. Trust me. And as far as the refs go, I mean, that's not an easy job. I mean, they got it hard. And I think they did a real good job, actually, all in all, the refs. They were right there. They were spontaneous. They did their job. They announced the racks. They announced the score. They did everything they were supposed to do. And so, and the tension, I did look at one thing that it caught me a little bit, and that was Joshua's demeanor during his matches. It seemed to me, was almost too light-hearted, too happy in a way, and he was maybe trying to calm the moment down in himself by putting that out there, because after his match or after a game, and when his teammates came over, all of a sudden that smile went away, and now it was.
You can tell he was nervous at times.
It was like
he's
Jason
he's still a killer though. I mean, but you saw it on his face. You saw him going where, but he can go and just process it, and just turn it into him being the monster that he is. But that's the beauty of it, is that because it shows how human the game is, right? Because we've all been there in spots and we think like, oh man, I'm gonna dog this shot coming up, and then you don't. Well, but it's like even the best players in the world can go through those range of emotions despite how great their execution is on the biggest of stages.
Yes,
I think that's
that was so fun.
That is watch. That's my favorite. For like the biggest myth in pool is that if I just get to that next level, I no longer have to be nervous anymore. Never works out that way. You're always nervous.
Well, fear of failure. I mean, every sport on earth gets talked about at some point in time, right? It's just something you can't have, but we're human, and I don't care. You do. It is there. I made a tape, went to a hypnotist 30 years ago to get rid of it and to have things that I could do on the table while I'm playing to get rid of that feeling, get rid of that thought. And it worked. I made a tape out of it. And before I went to tournaments, I'd play the tape in the car. And it would give me an opportunity to block out. Trust me, people out there in the pool world, if you're having problems with interference from outside sources when you're trying to concentrate, go to a hypnotist. Do it. Don't hesitate, because you can't do it on your own. Okay.
Mike, what did you think of the commentary?
Oh, I think it was top shelf for sure. And I think early on, it seemed like Niels was trying to just push like every kind of shot, but he just instantly became just completely comfortable in that chair. And Kelly is just, her delivery is incredible. Both of them have resumes, and not just that, but like Rob said, it was like them describing moments in matches, like where it got bigger, where the tension picked up. It wasn't just, for me, and this is what I love, it wasn't just he's gonna hit it with top right and come 2 rails. It was so much more than that. It was a great mix of knowledge. Yeah, it was a great mix of knowledge and emotion. And obviously, I mean, they're Europeans, but the best part for me was just, I was sweating it. Like there were moments in that Moscone Cup where it reminded me of like watching like a World Series, and and I'm nervous on every pitch or at every at bat. Like I was that kind of, and I remember it, like whenever Chris and Jeremy were playing, I said, and I'm like pacing in my living room, man, and I never really have sweaters like that, in pool. And it's funny because or like when Jeremy's coming back from 3-1 and then he ties it up, and if he wins, I lose money, but I was still rooting for him, because it was just, it was like, how can you not, like just get there, get that ball down, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. And I don't get that a lot from pool, man, but that was the way that it was delivered to us, no matter how you were watching. And it was a collective, from the production to the commentary to the players and their execution, obviously their abilities. I mean, just from top to bottom, it was amazing. And I wish people would just appreciate it more online and just give them. There was a lot of unknowns going into it, and they got thrown a lot of curveballs, especially at the last moment, and they still did the best of it. And just imagine, like, if anybody listened to half of these knuckleheads and they packed up and went home, we would have been robbed of so many amazing matches and amazing storylines throughout the Mosconi Cup. So, yeah,
and
just keep it
positive. I'll tell you something. Being in the crowd, there was a big chunk of the European fans that were actually, they were kind of rooting for Jeremy to get across the line against
Yeah.
The score was still going to be in our favor, in Europe's favor, and he got so much respect. There was so much respect there for the way Jeremy handled himself with the stuff that was thrown at him. He went out there and he played proper pool. He wasn't as sharp as he would have liked to have been, obviously.
Pretty
But
sharp one, Rack.
the fight he
You
put
saw
up,
him
the way
just
he
try
played.
so hard, man.
Yeah,
Like, you saw him just leave it all out
The
there.
effort was physically coming
Yeah.
out of him. You could see he was just so into it. He wanted to drag his team back in.
Yeah.
He wanted to be that leader. He wanted to be the guy to set the example. And it was fantastic to see. And I was sitting there, and I think I even said to Nate, I says, I kind of don't mind if Jeremy wins this.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? You know? And,
Right.
And then what happened, and
Yeah.
the
Would have been
kind
their
of
only win of the
dream
day.
was over,
Wow.
But it was great to it was great to see. It was and you're right, it was edge of your seat stuff. For the majority of it, for 2.5 days at least, it was edge of your seat stuff, and there's a couple of matches that USA that should have won, probably should have.
Sure.
But they didn't, and that's what happens. And it ended up the way
That's
it ended
sports,
up.
though, right, Jim? I mean, you can't fade that in any, in any game.
That's
it's just the
Mosconi
way
Cup.
that it's just tougher because it's it's under a microscope and it's a race to 5, so it is kind of very fast, but every little mistake is going to be magnified because it can really sway things the other way, and no lead is set, and 4-inch pockets to me made it incredibly compelling. Because there were times when I've watched pool before where I was like, all right, he's out. I'm not even going to pay attention. And then I'll just go back and watch the next break. I didn't get that at all this event. Like, I was watching the shots, I was watching, how they were going to go and move and get there and get shape and the execution of the ball getting down. I mean, just so many things that were phenomenal, man. I mean, just phenomenal.
But that's what Mosconi is. The format, everything about Mosconi gives the opportunity for these things to happen. And when they do happen, it's fantastic viewing. It's great to watch. It must be so disheartening as a player when it happens to you. These little things. Some of the roles that we saw. I mean, Joshua Filler must have been sitting in his seat when he was playing against Tyler, thinking, "What is going on here?"
Yeah.
But that point was an important point for the USA. It kept the momentum going as well. And
how many times is a guy going to miss 3 8-balls and win the game?
There's no other tournament that gives you that. You only get that with Mosconi, and that is the charm of it. That's the magic of Mosconi, and that's why we love it, And and I'd like just another thing for we discussed beforehand about if there was one European player that, if you were to say, doesn't deserve based on the last year's performance. We talked about Jason, and even Alex hinted that maybe the choice was between Jason or Fedor, rather than it being between Kachi and Fedor. Just announcing for next year already. Yeah. I mean, you talk about
Jason's got to be a lock for me. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be a guarantee.
You talk about Sky,
even if he doesn't get in on points, he's going to get in based off of on the captain's pick without a doubt.
We talked about on the USA side, Sky for 51 weeks of the year is not USA's number one. For those 4 days, he kind of is. Jason is the number one player in the world. Under those lights, in that team format, with everything that's going on in Moscone Cup and the crowd, there isn't anybody better, So you might as well announce him already, because if anyone ever had any doubts about whether or not, Jason Shaw should be in that Moscone team based on what he did last year, well, that's why he's in the team. And you can say that I'm biased because I'm Scottish and he's a mate of mine, but it's the simple truth.
I would call you out, Jim.
He was always going to go out there and play well.
Yeah, no, he played MVPs. He played phenomenal. He's made for dominating. He's made for that stage. Yeah, for sure.
I got a message from Alex on day 3 and said Jason Shaw is just a battering ram. I said, I know. I've been telling you that for weeks beforehand. The guy's got to be a lock. He goes out there. He'll he'll turn it into his own event. He made one mental error, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but in my opinion, his last singles match that he played when he lost to Sky, his mentality switched to, I want to win this last point and get my MVP, and he played for himself.
Well, he's a showman. He plays to all that.
If the score is tighter and it's not for the winning point and not for the MVP, then he wins that match against Sky as well.
Listen, he's human, and he still kind of stole the show on a lot of moments.
the way that Sky played. the way this, come on, Jim, the way this guy played, there's nobody in the world that had to beat him in a race to 5. I mean,
I didn't say they had to beat him, but Jason took on shots that he wouldn't normally have taken on. He made poor decisions based on the match situation and his own personal situation. That's just my opinion. I might be completely wrong.
I think you're right.
That Sky
I viewed the match.
Even if Jason plays the perfect way, there's no reason Sky can't beat him there. The way
I'm not
Sky's
saying
playing,
he can't beat him.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
saying
listen,
Jason's
I
favorite.
think it's more respect to Sky because they were 1 point away and you're down 3-1 in that match, and you said I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not laying down just because we're already buried. So that part was incredible to me, just seeing Sky out there go and do that when he pushed out to that jump shot and then he just spears it in, like it was a hanger. Yeah, I like it, and it did put a little bit of fire into Jason too.
Brilliant. Landing on the 3 was a little bit cheesy, but
that was yes, it was.
But see but that's what Sky has. You see it with Sky. Once he's made his decision, he's taken on a shot. He approaches it and plays it like it's a hanger. Yeah. He doesn't approach it and play it like it's a difficult shot. He's made his mind up. Right, I'm going for this shot, and then he approaches it and just hits it like it's hanging over the pocket. Yeah. He plays with the same. He doesn't take more strokes. He doesn't look at it a bit longer and get a little bit hesitant on it. He's just I'm going to play that shot.
He just lets his skill take over.
Out in their mind. They can go in their mind and they get down on it. They're committed to it, but then you can see them have doubts that just creep in. With Sky, it's like I got it. Stand back, boys. Just hang back. I got this.
What a gift!
Hold my beer. Hold my beer. Yeah. Literally, you almost see that with them.
You do. Yeah.
But for me, if
he's having fun, is what he's doing. He's having a good time.
He's enjoying himself. Brilliant. Yes. Wonderful to see.
It is.
And if I'm Matchroom, I'm letting Christmas happen. I'm letting New Year happen. Then I'm announcing Laley, Boys, and Shaw, Jeremy, Shane, and Sky, and just get that out of the way. And say to the rest of them, right? The rest of the
formality for sure. Yeah.
You might as well. We know it's all happening. We all know it's happening. I mean,
I wouldn't mind. Like as bad as blasphemous as this is to say, I wouldn't mind announcing Shane absolutely last. Not because there's any question as to whether or not he's going to make the team, but just to send a message saying, you're not a shoo-in for every single one of these years. You're still going to have to play okay to get the spot.
He is a shoo-in, though.
Well, he's a shoo-in.
We all know he is, right? We all know he is. But by announcing him dead last, what you're saying is,
Shane's a real sharp guy. He's aware. Like you saw that change from the day whenever he went around the fall, or day 3 to day 4, he presented himself in a different way. So he's an aware guy, maybe not in the moment, and maybe somebody should have checked him, on day 3 whenever he wasn't out there when Jeremy's playing David. But you saw him kind of change his tune already on day 4 of just getting out there in front of everyone, putting a smile on his face, like, cheering guys on, stuff like that. So, I mean, he's human like anyone else, and he's used to winning. I'm guys like that are just used to being on the better side of things. So he's going to have frustrations about it, but I think he'll be able to take it and learn from it, But I don't think you want to send that kind of message to a guy like Shane, because he may be like, I'll take my pool cue and go fishing.
Go somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it's I mean.
So all in all, we agree this was a great Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I do. I definitely think it is. We got
Molina
Mike frozen over here.
The bits I can remember, I think I quite enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim. Is there anything that you'd like to say about all those statements where you said that I'd be sitting in a corner of my own pickle buke? Is there anything you'd like to say on air? I'm just asking for a friend.
Well, there was no pickles. Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I got a question for you too, Jim.
Nate, you did okay. You did okay. I think there was a couple of times you were just sort of you were given a drink and you just left it sitting somewhere. You didn't really drink it.
But, he was babying it, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he dogged it a few times, but no, I didn't see you in too much of a mess. No, you did okay.
What do you think? Say stuff like that, Jim? How does Nate end up with a woman like Alicia? I mean, how does that even happen?
She's a very patient lady.
All right. Now that we got that cleared up.
See you later, Rob.
That was
All right.
funny.
All right, let's move on. Let's move
He
on.
showed
to,
you his
I
boss,
think we-
Rob.
Yeah. Don't mess with the guy with the mute button.
The darn editor again.
All right, so let's move on to I guess, what I want to talk about the most this week, I guess, which is the inaugural 2021 NBL 10 ball championships. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to any of you guys about this. I'm sure you're aware of it at this point. I would have to assume so. And this is going to be the new league. I've been talking about it. Ed Ladawi's joined the podcast a couple of times to talk about it. This is going to be the new attempt at a professional tour in the U.S. And to be honest with you, it's almost. I mean, it seems like we have a lot of people that are trying to do this now. I mean, Predator has a pro tour that they're coming out with. Matchroom, of course, is going to have their tour. It's not a U.S. only tour, but it's, there's at least a couple of events in the U.S. every year. And now we have the NBL adding to this. Hopefully, they all stick and they're all great. But worst case scenario, hopefully one of these things stick. And based off of what I saw from this event, there's some growing pains that are happening. But this is something that I could see actually like really making a dent and sticking around for a while. The basic idea of it is you have 32 satellite qualifiers. Those are in 32. They're not 32 different states, but they're in 32 different locations around the country. I think there's like 30 states or something like that. There's a couple states that have doubles, but the idea is each of the 32 satellite locations will have a. What is going on? 1 second. Okay, so each of the 32 locations. My headset just decided I wanted to crash. So each of the 32 locations will have 2 tournaments per year with 32 players in each of them. The winner from each of them is going to go on to the national event, which will be paid for from the qualifier. So they will have their flights, their hotel, their transportation, and all of the different covering or all the different expenses covered for the event. And yeah, basically it's your way of getting, as an amateur, it's like a stepping stone, I guess, to get from the amateur levels into the professional levels where you can actually mix up with some of the pros. Now, because of COVID, they were supposed to already have a couple of events done, but because of COVID and with different regulations in each state, many of the 32 qualifiers could not actually happen. So they only ended up having 4 of the locations be able to come up with one, and each of them sent 2 people. So there was 8 amateurs, and then they added 8 pros. The pros were John Mora, Corey Duell, Frankie Hernandez, Jason Shaw, Justin Bergman, Jeremy Sosi, Oscar Dominguez, and Sean Wilkie. So the 8 professionals with the 8 amateurs, they all played for $25,000 in prize money. So the top 6 players got money out of this. And in order, that was John Mora getting first place, double dipping Corey Duell in the finals. We'll be talking a lot about him in a little bit. Frankie Hernandez gets 3rd place. Jason Shaw gets 4th place. And then 5th, 6th goes to Justin Bergman. And the lone amateur that finished in the money, Joe Dupree.
So he beat Jason, I think, in the winner's
Molina
side.
Mike will send it over to you first. I would like to assume that you watched a little bit of this. What did you think of not only the event itself, but the way it was presented?
I watched a little bit of it, and it was the way it was presented was a little cheesy for me. Format wise, I'm not quite sure what they were playing. I think it might have been ref rack and 10 ball, which
I'm having problems with my headset. 1 second. If you're trying to talk to me.
Can you guys hear me, Rob and Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. We're good.
Yeah. I don't know if it was ref rack and 10 ball. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
But
it was template rack. So it was racked by the referees, template, and it had to be racked the same exact way. So in order, it goes the 1 on top, 2, 3, 4, 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it had to be in order that time, that way, weird. Every single time. Well, the idea of it, and you have to break from the center, the second diamond down, and the second diamond over. So a 2x2 right in the exact center of the table. And the idea.
So all the guys are breaking from the same spot.
The exact same spot. And the
Did
idea
not just make a big dent on the break area.
Yeah.
Well, they put a spot down. They put a spot down. So the idea with that is it's a bit of a handicap for the amateurs, right? Because you're taking away the knowledge of the professional pool player, right? The pros know how to adjust their break to make it work. The amateurs don't always know how to do that. So the idea is if everybody's breaking with the same exact rack from the same exact spot, you're taking
You don't
away
think they'll figure that out though? I mean, they're pros. Like, you don't think they're gonna crack that code?
Of course they will, but of course they
Yeah.
will. But the idea is you're starting everybody from the same exact starting spot, so the amateurs can try to figure it out too. But the years and years of knowledge that the pros have is a little bit neutralized by this, and it gives the amateurs a little bit of a better chance of competing against them. That's the idea
Well,
behind it.
I guess like the premise I like of pros and amateurs, but if they're playing even, like, yeah, you'll have maybe a Cinderella like with Joe Dupuis, but I mean,
Nate,
let's
you had
face
a
it. I mean,
chance to go to
some
this, right?
some of these guys aren't going to go and stand a
Right.
chance playing 10 ball with some of these monsters, you know. So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like a Jim can go and you know, maybe crack some skulls, but he'll be up against it trying to get to the finals, you know.
But that's the idea. That's why everything's free, right? So you get a free
Yeah.
$1,000 entry fee, you get a free flight, you get a free hotel, you get free jerseys, you get free food.
Well,
while
yeah,
you're
but
there.
you're still paying in the sense that like you're paid to enter that qualifying tournament, and then you're holding but you're not getting compensated at that time. You're basically holding it off until the end of whenever till they have the national championship. So it's like you're hoping you snap it off, and then you got to go and parlay it into hoping you go deep in the other one. I don't know. There's plus and minuses, I suppose. The Some of the things that were there, like dancing and all that, seem a little gimmicky for me. Seem a little cheesy.
Nate, didn't you play in a qualifier for this?
Yeah,
You
I played
hosted
in
one, didn't you?
of them. Yeah, I hosted the Wisconsin one of them. So I chose to forfeit out of my event to a player that I thought had a better chance of. The player that I ended up forfeiting out to was he's a young player from Wisconsin that has a lot of promise and takes his career very, very, very seriously. And I don't take my
But what is that?
career
Hold on
nearly
a
as
second. What does
seriously
that
as him.
mean? You forfeited? Like you won it, and then you just gave your spot to someone you thought can go and go deeper than you? Is that
Yes,
essentially
let's
what you're
hear
saying?
this.
I did not win a match that I won.
Oh, wait a minute.
I pulled out of the tournament before at Hill. But that's neither here nor there. Let's just move on from that.
Well, the other side of it is I know a lot of these pro players who did end up playing all got invites, so it seems a little like, you know, how did they come up with inviting these players? You know, aside from, hey, I know you. Let's see if you want to come over.
Yes. So the way the BCA considers it, if you're above 720 Fargo, you're considered a professional player. So if you're
Right.
above 720, you cannot play in the BCA national event. Ed Ladawi has decided to adopt that model and basically say if you're above 720,
Right.
you
No,
are
that part I
pro,
remember.
and you cannot enter into this tournament as an amateur to try to qualify, but you will get an invite to the national event. So you can buy your way into the national event, which is $1,000.
Yeah, but like, how did they get a chance to be one of the 8? I guess is my question, because it just seemed like
for this one, it's an invite only because there's only in the future there's going to be 64. I know that Ed actually had a little bit of an issue filling out the pros because there was several people that, you know, being so close to the Mosconi Cup, there was a couple players that couldn't play because of that. And then I know Earl Strick.
Does this mean that some players will be invited to multiple events and given more chances to qualify for the?
No, because I think the pros still have to go and play on the all they got to do is pay $1,000, and then they'll be part of they'll be part of the 32 if they want to be, is my understanding. But this one was a little different because it wasn't 32 amateurs and 32 pros. It was just 8 and 8, and we're just going to go and invite the 8 only, or I guess the first 8 that want to go. The first 8 that want to go and say yes.
The national events are going to be 64 pros and 64 amateurs, so it'd be 64 pros. Yeah. Or that's what he's hoping for.
Yeah, I think
he'll get it. Like anything else, he'll get it if the money's there.
Yeah, I know he's hit a lot of speed bumps because he was ready to go and launch, and then COVID hit. So I mean, you know, kudos to Ed for still going and battling on and persevering and putting on, you know, something at the end of the year. It ended up being pretty nice. You know, I saw the last day more than anything else, and but yeah, I mean, it's got its plus and minuses.
Well, the goal of this is to have a $200,000 prize purse 4 times a year is what he's hoping to do.
Whoa.
And
4 times a year.
Whoa.
Each quarter.
I know, like, I had seen even, I mean, and you can call it maybe because of COVID or whatever, but there were times whenever I saw guys trying to go and put on qualifiers that they were struggling to go and fill up, like, you know, and so they got to do a better job there.
It's hard to have so the idea. So this is going to be a huge pitfall for what he's doing is you basically have 32 satellite locations that one person is running. Now, I was able to fill both of mine with 32 players, no problem. But I mean, if I say I'm going to do something, generally speaking, I do my best to actually do it. You're going to have to find 32 locations with 32 tournament directors that have enough initiative to work their butts off to try to get these things filled. And if you can't find, you know, the successes and failures of this is going to be
32 guys to go and sell them on Ed's idea. Like, that's going to be the hard part, is to sell it, because pool players in general are just going to be skeptical, you know?
Yeah. The pool players are like the best group of people in the world that's shooting themselves right in the foot, right? Yeah. We all know that. You know, Matchroom is doing more for pool than anybody else in the entire world in the last 20 years by a factor of infinity. And people are still saying that Matchroom is dumb and we should boycott them, and Team USA should pull out because they didn't let Ed play, because the UK government is telling him that he has to quarantine. And you still have people that are saying that we should just pull out of all Matchroom events. That's the dumbest thing. I mean,
it's a big fix. It's a conspiracy just to make sure
that's true.
The referees are European. The commentators are European. We didn't let Earl play. It's all just so as we can win, because our players are worse than your players, and we're scared that we might lose.
You want to hear one of the things that I actually heard
just wait, Jim. Just wait, because I wait. Listen, I bet on Team Europe, but you just wait. If, let's say, we go and get, you know, let us go and get some like mid 800s in there to go up against your ass, and then we'll see what's going on. Listen, hey, from what I heard of that podcast yesterday, your wish may come true, my man. And y'all's free roll every year, maybe you know, cut in half if let's say there's some other guys invited to that dance, man. I'm just saying.
Well, the best go and get themselves some good dancing shoes in and learn some steps, because you're not got many that are pushing 800 at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're gonna see. I'm waiting for that day.
I hope so.
I actually had somebody tell me straight up that Earl Strickland showed up, because Earl Strickland was there when they found out that somebody on his flight got COVID, tested positive for COVID. I actually had somebody tell me that they have an inside source that said that when Earl Strickland showed up and he started practicing on the practice table, Matchroom saw how good he was playing and knew that they couldn't let him play because he would end up destroying Europe, and it would just end up ruining the entire event because of how good Earl Strickland was playing. So people at Matchroom decided that they had to do something about that. And they made up this entire thing where they got the government involved. And the government said,
oh my God.
Oh, okay. We have to make sure that Earl doesn't play so we can maintain the sanctity of our European culture.
Yeah.
We have to. So they got the government.
Was there any talk of lasers
that
in that conversation at all?
I actually,
you know, the funniest part, Nate, is that you'll still have people say, "Yep, Nate's right." Absolutely, for sure.
That's what happens.
No doubt.
Don't say Nate is right. Get
No,
the hell out of here.
That's what they're saying right now. That's what they're saying right now. They're like, "Yep, Nate, yep."
Yeah,
that's
so
funny.
Absolutely right.
Believable.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they're on another comment thread talking about how the world is flat and the Illuminati exists, and you know,
the Rothschilds are taking over the world.
There's little robots in the vaccines that we're all getting.
Hey, but hold on a minute. Let's go back to this NBL thing. So John Moore ends up winning a 10-ball event, right? So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
So Moore, what a guy!
That's pretty good for a guy that just started
So
playing
much
left-handed 3 years ago.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. What a talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you even do that? Play right-handed your whole life and then switch to left?
Well, maybe he's always been left-handed. He just didn't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's left-eye dominant. He is left-eye dominant. It'll be a lot easier for him to get onto his shots this way. I mean,
that's nonsense. Left-eye dominance nonsense when it's about which hand you're using. It's about alignment. I hear this all the time. Well, if you're left-hand dominant, you should be playing left-handed. If you're right-hand dominant, you should be playing.
No.
Rubbish.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it is hard. What I'm saying is it is harder to get into your shots this way, right? So if you're left-eye dominant and a right-handed player, it is a little harder to get into your shot.
Is that like
we need a moderator for the moderator around here right now?
What are you talking about? How do you get into a shot?
Have you seen
some players have got the cue coming along here. Some players have got the cue coming along here. It doesn't matter. They're both right-handed. I mean,
okay. All right. Well, let's
Moving on.
So I guess
moving on.
Mike, do you have any more thoughts on I guess what you watched for the NBL or
No, I mean, people were talking
idea
about
of it as a whole?
Corey breaking with the bridge was kind of interesting, but we saw Corey do that at the World 10 Ball. You know, he's always looking to
Corey does weird things.
Yeah, he's an innovative guy, you know,
Yeah.
and likes to think outside the box. And you know, he's not known to have the most square or powerful 10 ball breaks. So if that helps him, you know, go and get there, by all means. And it got him to the finals and, you know, win in the hot seat. So he must be doing something right for everyone that wants to go and laugh at him, you know, about it. But yeah, I don't know. I watched some of the Facebook feeds, but I think they also had some other online stuff as well. I know John was down early in that match, came back and won, and then I guess he won the second set. But yeah, he's a phenomenal player. You know, I wouldn't put him above Jason in 10 ball, you know, still, but it's a great event, you know.
Well, I mean, John Moore lost his first match to Frankie Hernandez 7-5, and then goes on to tear and wins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches in a row.
Nice.
Won 8 matches in a row.
That's awesome.
That's strong.
Including beating Oscar Dominguez, Joe Dupree, Jason Shaw, Frankie Hernandez, and then double dipping Corey Deuel.
Wow.
Pretty decent run.
Hell yeah. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. He
earned
it. What was the first place?
Caught a gear.
Sorry, Jim.
First place was $10,000. Second place was $7,000. Third place.
Not bad for a 16-man event, is it?
No, it's not bad at all, is it?
Nice.
I think third place was $4,000, and then it went $2,000, and then $1,000 for fifth, sixth. So for 16 players, $10,000 for first place.
Yeah. Almost 50% getting pulled out. It's all right.
And that's because of the that's because of the feeder system that they have implemented, right? I mean, you can't do that with just entry fees. I mean, there's only I mean, technically they only took in $8,000 in entry fees and they paid out $25,000. So it's the feeder system that's going to make the success of this. And I think you're going to have a lot of people, you know, push back to the idea, well, why should I pay an entry fee that eventually is going to go to some professional player? And I mean, that's a real argument, but at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, if you don't, and we continue having the desert of professional events and tours that we have right now, and of course, Matchroom is doing amazing things. Predator's doing amazing.
Well, I mean, the
things.
pro side of things seems to be doing, or at least has a lot of bright on the horizon. You know, like there's a lot of stuff coming up. Matchroom is going to continue to be announcing things. Stuff here in the States is blowing up. You know, the first few months of the year is just going to be wild, like it was the last few months. You know, and then on the amateur side of things, I don't know how many. Everywhere I look, it's a handicapped here. Fargo rated it there.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what I was going to say.
They seem to be. I think they can all live in harmony. You know.
Well, this is the biggest problem that I have, and I think this is the biggest detriment that the U.S. has currently. Is there is a giant desert between basically a 600 Fargo and a 700 and let's say 20 Fargo. Currently, and I'm only talking for Wisconsin here. Mike, maybe you can fill in for what it's like in Texas area, but for right now in Wisconsin, like. The events that I can play in an event maybe every 6 or 7 weeks. I'll have an event that I can play in. Everything else is 550 and under, 480 and under, 600 and under, whatever it is. There's nothing for a 670 and under. Like there's almost no open tournaments because this is my I guess idea as to why it is. When you're only allowing players like me to play once every 6 or 7 weeks, it's like you have to be in the habit of playing in events. I mean, you have to actively be looking for them. I'll miss an event every now and then just because I'm not even looking for them because I don't even know that they exist. So the idea that you know, if you get one event every 6 or 7 weeks and it just doesn't work with your schedule, maybe you have to work and you can't get out of work, or maybe you have something with your children, or maybe you have a family gathering, whatever it is. If you only get once every 6 or 7 weeks and you miss, let's say 2 of those things in a row, you're not competing for 4 months, 3 to 4 months. And in the US, at least in Wisconsin, there is absolutely nothing that exists that would motivate somebody to play from Fargo 600 to 720. There's just nothing that exists that says, I want to keep getting better. Unless you're internally motivated, there is nothing that exists right now that's going to help get you to the next level, which is
then
the low
put on an
tier
event
level.
yourself. I don't know. I don't like hearing that kind of, well, there's nothing for me. Well, then go make something for yourself.
I'm
You know,
not
like-
arguing. I'm not arguing that part of it, but like there are definitely people that can do it. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
in Europe, this exists, and it doesn't surprise me at all that they have you have the Euro Tour, Jim. You have the Euro Tour. You have national, national tournaments.
Yeah, you've got the Euro Tour, but you're still as a 650, 700 Fargo, you're still going to have to play against these guys, and you're going to have to battle against them and get better. It's exactly the same. Just because you're below 720, because you're below 720, doesn't mean you say you can't enter all the events. You're going to spend a lot of time getting your ass kicked, but if you want to get better, you're going to improve. You know? Yeah.
What I'm saying is, there's no.
Tell them, Jim. Tell them. Say it again.
I'm just saying, there's no local events that exist in my state. Maybe there are in Texas. I don't know, but they don't exist. Like, if I want to jump on a plane and go to Florida, sure.
Events and
yeah, okay. If I want to go a Euro Tour, I've got to jump on a plane and go to Italy.
Yeah, but
So
you
what's
also
the
have
difference?
national.
Can't you walk to Italy? I mean, isn't it close enough?
Yeah, just hop, skip, and a jump. I'm there, no problem. You know?
I'm just saying that the option theoretically is there, and there really isn't a lot in the U.S. that's the NBL is going to be different, right? Because
listen, there's a lot of guys who are like right there on the cusp of being a great pro player or a great American player who are still working their ass off in that Fargo range to kind of be a great player. You know, one that comes to mind is like Justin Martin, you know, where that kid's just going from event to event to event to event, and you saw his progression over 3 months. The guy almost ends up beating Albin at the international. And oh, by the way, Albin ended up snapping off the whole event, you know? So, but you saw but he paid a lot of dues in those, you know, those few months and lost a lot of matches, lost a lot of money, whatever it is. But
he's investing in his future. He's looking at the long term.
Yeah,
he's looking at the long term, not the short term. And that's the problem. The players that you see, there's too many players that want the short term stuff.
Yeah. And I'm not saying Nate is, but I'm just saying, like, in general, don't complain about the way things are. Like, just plug away. You know, either that or, you know, go play some hole in the wall bar or go, you know, line up action, figure something out, you know, but going and saying there's nothing for me.
Because you ain't going to get, these players are not going to get better if they're just playing in handicap tournaments. You're 680 Fargo and you're just playing in a handicap tournament. You ain't going to get better because you don't want to get better. They want to stay at 680 so they can keep playing in these Fargo tournaments.
Well, I see that from pros all the time now too, because especially the Americans, they're like, well, there used to be a lot of bar table events I used to be able to go to. Well, now they can't go and rob them because now they're going and our Fargo events, you know, or they won't go and let them play at all. You know, but those room owners got to go and keep their customers in business afloat. You know, they're not there to go and cater to top pros. If you want to be a top pro, go play in top pro events. There's plenty of them right now.
Exactly.
You know?
I'll say this. The reason this podcast exists is because I didn't go and do what you said, Mike, because I got frustrated with the idea of trying to chase down a tournament where I'm getting in a car and driving for 3 hours to get to the only open event that exists. The reason that this podcast exists because I got sick of doing that. And I just decided
for sure.
I still love the game.
I'm talking more like in general, you know, like as opposed to like directly towards you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I've talked to people around my skill level. And, you know, Rob can talk for this. Rob was, you know, he's a little lower now there. He's like a 640, 650 Fargo, but he was, you know, they just don't exist. And the idea is you're right. I could put my head down, stop my whining and just go and, you know, jump in a car for 4 hours and go down to Chicago or go down to, you know, Indianapolis or drive up to Minneapolis or something like that. I could do that. The point is it didn't work for me. I couldn't do it. Like
there's plenty of great
players
who work full-time jobs. And then there's plenty of, you know, well, not plenty, but there's a few of like 1% of 1% elite players who you don't see the amount of time they actually go and put into and all the sacrifice and things they go and give up to be at the level that they're at, you know? And there's other guys, like I said, who stay in their lane, you know? I'll work and then I'll end up, you know, every few months going and playing something or, you know, going and there's plenty of like guys you don't hear of all the time. And all of a sudden they just show up and can cause a stir at a pro event. You know, like Jason Brown, whenever he goes and plays one pocket somewhere, you know, you won't see the guy for a year. He'll show up to the biggest event.
Justin
Hall. All of a sudden,
Justin Hall,
Justin Hall, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's plenty of guys that are like that, you know?
Yeah. I'm just like this, if the NBL event works out and it becomes what Ed envisions it to become, I think that this is a perfect feeder system into a real professional tour, not only for the NBL, but for the Predator event, if it's still, or the Predator Tour, if it's still around, and Matchroom events. I think it's if you
Well,
look
it
across.
won't be a feeding into Matchroom if they're going to stick with 10 ball. You know,
No, they rotate. They rotate. So the
Yeah.
reason why there's 4 more years, one's going to be 10 ball, one's going to be 9 ball, one's going to be 8 ball, and then you rotate back through. So there's every year
Okay.
we'll have one event and one.
But that's gonna be the issue. I mean, if these big organizations don't communicate with each other and work together, let's say all 3 of them are successful. You've got to imagine Matchroom is going to be successful. They know what they're doing. They're going to be successful.
Matchroom's going nowhere.
Yeah, the EBL, okay, it's in its child phase at the moment. Hopefully, it's a success. The Predator as well. You know, you would expect the Predator with the backing that they've got and stuff like that. You'd expect that they'll make it a success out of theirs. Do you end up then with 3 different rankings? Because Matchroom are going to have their own ranking, and they're going to use that for their own events, which will include the Mosconi Cup, which will include. Will they take into account a ranking that the Predator tour comes in? Will they turn around and say, "No, we've got our own ranking. We don't need your ranking. We've done enough events." Like Mike said, I mean, if they're going to switch between 10 ball and 9 ball, do Matchroom ignore their rankings, or do they every second year they look at the 9 ball ranking and take one person from that ranking? How do they do it? It's not. I mean, as much as I want them all to be successful, it doesn't really achieve much by having 3 separate rankings.
Well, I mean, but Matchroom
NBL
is like not just talking about it. They're saying, listen, we're going to go and expand our portfolio, you know? So we're going to go and add more events on. We're going to go and include more open events to be included in that. You know, if nobody, I mean, people want to jump on board, I'd imagine they would love to, because then you'll have people from all over the world going. I mean, the top players from all over the world going and playing in their events, you know?
And I think at the end of the day, like the NBL event, there are no rankings for it. You don't need to have. I mean, you could theoretically have one if you wanted to, but there's nothing in there that needs a ranking system, right? Because if you're above 720, you're considered a pro, and if you're considered a pro, you can buy your way into the national event. There's no like.
A professional tour always has a ranking. They are inviting a certain number of players every year. They have to choose those players based on a ranking, surely.
No. If you're above 720, you can buy your way into the national event. That's it. If you're below 720, you need to qualify your way into it by using one of the satellite qualifiers.
I can contact them now and say I want to be in the main event.
You have to live in the U.S. for the NBL. So you actually have to have a residential home in the USA, which is why John Mora can play, which is why Jason Shaw can play, which is why was there anybody else in here that wasn't American?
Well, Appleton will get, and he still get his green card, I guess. So I don't know. Yeah.
No, Appleton can't because he does not own a home in the U.S. anymore. He sold his house in Pennsylvania. But Thorsten could, Mika Immonen could, but you actually have to.
Then you're okay, because I'm thinking if anyone over 720 who wants to enter this from Europe or whatever, you don't have enough spots to just give away everybody that's over 720.
No,
you don't have those spots. You would have to have a ranking to choose which ones get in.
This is a U.S. only tour. It's the way that he's doing it currently. So. So that's the idea with that is like there is no need for rankings. I mean, you could do rankings if you wanted to, say like.
Well, what's the point of that though? Why not just open it up to any players on Earth?
I don't understand.
They're not gonna be feeding Moscone Cup. So what difference does that make?
Yeah, just let everybody play.
Well,
yeah,
the idea that Ed Ladawi has is that he wants to make an American tour because there is no American tour that exists, at least when he was, having the brainchild for this.
That's fine. You don't have to segregate it to 720. Why? Where does? I mean, you don't have to.
Because that's what
you don't have to differentiate between pro and amateur.
So if you got players from all over the world in that area, then you're gonna go and say no, don't come play over here.
If you have
that's crazy to me. I don't understand that logic at all.
If you have a house in the U.S., you can play in it. I'm just telling you what it is. And
no, I know, but I didn't realize it was like
Jim,
that.
You have to have a separation between the amateurs and the professionals because the professionals can buy their way in, the amateurs cannot. That's why the cutoff exists. And the BCA decided what is considered professional and what is considered amateur, and that's the cutoff at 720. So he's just using the BCA's definition of a professional versus an amateur.
So what you then have is you have a direct entry for the professionals, and the amateurs have to qualify.
Correct. The only way the amateurs can play is by qualifying. That's the only way the amateurs can get in.
Okay, but then so if you're on 719 and then all of a sudden your Fargo jumps to 720, you can just quickly buy your spot in the thing, and then maybe it by the time the event comes around, it's dropped down to 715 or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
I always knew you were a sandbagger.
So basically, you can just turn around and say, "Oh, I'm on 719. I don't want to qualify. I'll just play a quick Salato game against somebody, let them sandbag, jump me 1 point, and then I can just buy my direct entry."
Yep, you could buy it. You could put in $1,000 to the tournament and try to get it.
Solato's gonna get a hell of a lot of action from 718,
Well,
719
think about
Fargos.
it. Think about it, Jim. Even if you're a 720, I mean, you're basically an amateur player, right?
Yeah, but
I
you're
mean,
not
You're
stealing
getting
a
direct
720
entry
in that
into the.
event.
Yeah,
You're getting direct entry into the big show.
No, you're not getting direct
No,
entry. You still have to
But
pay
hold on a
$1,000.
second, because
Yes, but you're getting
there's a lot of
directly
guys
into
who
the
are in
big
that range. There's a lot of guys
Correct.
who are in that range that would rather be below go and rob
Exactly.
an amateur
Because then you
event
can
at
get it
into
719
100.
because now they're in it
Correct.
at a lot less money.
Okay,
you know
you
what I
have.
mean? And they like their chances of
Then you
beating
have that
field.
happening as well. Then you have that
Yeah.
happening as well. I don't want to pay the. I don't want to pay the 1,000. I know who I'm going to be playing against in my qualifier, so I'll just drop down to 719.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And that's no matter where you put no matter where you draw the line, there's going to be that option. But the idea is if you want to go up to the 7, I mean, you're going to have the option. If you want the guaranteed spot as a 720 Fargo, you're going to have to be playing against Corey Deuel and John Mora and Jason Shaw. And
So they're going to give this
potentially in the
thing a
future,
swing
Shane
again
Van
next year?
Boningsky. Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, Ed has had no communications with me saying that he's pulling the plug. So, I mean, they're constantly looking
Too
for
early
good
to pull the
tournaments.
plug. He's only just started it. You know, it's going to everything's going to have some teething problems. COVID didn't help, but you know, as long as you look at the first couple of events and you know you listen to people around you. You
No,
take
I hope so. I know Ed's put in a lot of work.
Negative criticism, and you work with it, and you try and create something. Then all success to them. You know, the USA, they need that. They need something. They need a proper. They need a proper.
I don't think that's the answer for like a proper professional tour. I think it's a great event.
It might be a start.
You know,
it might be a start.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
they have to have
say this.
something. It's better than nothing. You know. And
I'll say this: if let's just create a hypothetical situation where 5 years down the line, would you rather have 4 events a year that each pay out $200,000, or would you rather have? I don't want to pick on anything, so I'm just going to say the Sportscraft Pool Q Tour of the Northeast.
Don't do that. Come on,
like
grow a pair, Nate. Come on, put somebody on blast.
Well, I mean, the idea is what we have right now is not really sustainable, right? We have nothing that's actually out there that's actually a professional tour that people are living off of. 4 events a year at $200,000 a pop, where first prize is, let's say, $40,000 or $50,000, whatever it is. That's
Do you think that's sustainable though, to go and say you're going to go and ask amateurs to go and basically, bankroll that type of event over and over and over again?
Well, as me personally, as like I said, a 670 Fargo that has nothing available to them, I now have 8 events on the calendar every single year that I can point to saying I'm playing every single one of those 8 events. So I go from having maybe 5 events a year that I can play in to a minimum of 8 plus any others that I add to the calendar besides that. For somebody who's a 670 Fargo, do I think I'm going to beat Jason Shaw? Hell no. But I know that the player from my area, Duncan Kaufman, who plays about the same speed that I do, beat Sean Wilkie in the second round of the B-side and made his way into one match out of the finals, and actually had Jason Shaw down 5-4. He ended up losing 7-5, but he had Jason Shaw down 5-4, and he's a player that plays about my speed.
I was going to ask you about Duncan.
The idea is like he could, do I like my chances against a professional player at a race to 7? No. Do I like taking a stab at it? Hell yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
I don't. Nobody has to beat me in a race to 7.
Look at how many.
There's a lot that are going to, but the idea is I love taking my stab at that.
Just have a look at the US Open and how many hackers paid the entry fee to play the US Open. And a couple of them got the dream draw they wanted to. You've got McGee who gets to play Jason. Jason, was it on the?
No,
or
it was
Philip.
Judd Trump, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, McGee got to play Judd Trump on the TV table at the US Open. That's worth your entry fee straight away. So a big chunk of your entry fee is just the opportunity that you might get to play against one of these guys. I ain't going to win a US Open, but if somebody turned around to me and said, "Hey, $1,000 and your draw is Earl Strickland on the TV table in the first round,"
I'm
bring
in.
it on. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
why not? So to answer the question in the comments, Craig Bauer, if you're above 720, you cannot play in the qualifiers. So no. But
Craig, you have to live in the USA, so you're out of that because you live in South Africa. So
yeah, bummer. So yeah, I mean, that's I love the idea of, I'm gonna if I 8 events every single year, I'd play in every single one of them. Now, how many
Well, you
Neight
better have your
Mindhams
name
are out
on there then, Nate.
Well, I played in it. The
You
first
better-
one I did not. The
You better
first one I did not.
practice.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't have a reason to practice right now because I have one event on my calendar that I can play in right now, and it's February 6th. So that's the next event that I know of that I can play in. That's, I'm playing in it. It's the Predator. It's the pro event in Wisconsin Dells for the Predator Tour. That's going to be in Wisconsin. I'm playing in that, but it's not until February 6th. That's the next event that I get to play in that I at least know of that I'm able to play in. So if I had 8 of these events every single year, plus sprinkle in a couple of Predator tours, plus the average off state title in the Masters division, or just the average open division, open tournament that I can play in Beloit, Wisconsin, or something like that. I love the idea of having 8 more events I can play in every year. That might even be motivation for me to practice and play like I used to, where I was playing 6 or 7 days a week, and an hour or 2 a day. I would love the idea of that.
Well, time to screw it together, buddy. Put in some table time. There you go. There it is.
I am going to be playing quite a bit leading up to the Predator event in Wisconsin because I'm going to play in it. So if I have motivation to play, if I have a reason to play, usually I'll practice. But I'm not internally motivated as a player enough to just practice with nothing on the calendar for no reason. Like, I just can't do that. If I had a table at home like Jim does, maybe I could do that. But I don't have one at home, and I actually have to jump in my car and drive 15 minutes, which isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal, but to get out of your car, or to get out of your sweet sweatpants that you're wearing all day long, and jump in a car and go practice for 2 hours, it's a lot harder to do that, I guess, when you're not internally motivated, and I'm not. So, but if I had 8 events a year and I have them on my calendar, hell yeah, I'd want to play a lot more. Wow. Just my thought. I don't know. I love the idea of it. So I mean, I'm all for Ed and what he's doing with his tour. I want to support him any way that I can, and I like the idea of it. I mean, I like the idea of a $200,000 event for the top pros.
I hope they get it all.
Yeah, really, 5 to 4, huh? Good for him.
At the end of the day, anybody that goes out there and puts themselves on the line and puts the work in and tries to get something like this done and tries to do something positive, as many people as possible need to get behind him. And
for sure,
I hope he's got the right people around him. He'll need that. Need the right people around him. He needs to listen to the correct kind of people and ignore the ones he needs to ignore, I guess. And
a little luck never hurt him.
Like anyone else who's, like I said, who's prepared to put the time in and the effort in to try and bring something positive, I wish them all the best. I'd play if I was there. I might just buy a house over there so as I can play.
I'll put a cardboard box in my backyard for you, Jim.
Kyle says he'll sponsor you, Nate.
I mean, it's not a matter of me not being able to afford an entry fee. Like, I can afford the entry fees. The problem is that there's nowhere for me to throw my money. He's saying there's an open, no fee tournament coming up, Calcutta only. I don't know what that means. What does coming up mean? I don't know. What tournament are you talking about?
I don't know.
I mean, when I find a tournament that I can play in, that's I don't even care if it's handicap. Like, I'll give games to somebody. I just want to be able to play. And
handicap tournaments are for losers.
Well, when beggars can't be choosers, Jim. I mean, at the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just saying, point out the tournaments I can play in, and I'll probably go play in them. But with this tour, who knows? Maybe there'll be something that I can play in.
We'll see.
So, we'll see. Yeah. At the end of the day, I love the idea, and if it works out to where he's able to do 4 events a year, $200,000 prize purse. When was the last time anyone's ever seen that in the pool? That's a lot of work to do, but
yeah. No, wish him all the best for sure, and I hope it is going to take off.
That's only Matchroom that's doing that, and they have a 256. The U.S. Open is $300,000 prize purse. I think is what they had. Is that right, Jim? Mike?
Something like that, but you can expect that to increase, I think. Yeah.
I think everything's going to be going up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, I think the horizon looks good for all the people that are negative. I really believe it. I think for all those days are coming.
For all those pros and those experts who say there's no money in the game, have a look in about 5 years' time and see how much money can be won over a year cycle.
On the way up.
There's going to be plenty of money around.
Yep. I agree.
I see it locally.
Yeah.
Right now, if like the top pros, if they're making $200,000 a year, that's like really, 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 really good. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if the mid-level pro players are making that. Like, not to throw anybody under the bus, but like a John Mora who won this tournament, right? John's not a top pro, but he's a good middle level pro. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if he was making $200K in 5 years with what's coming down the pike.
I hope so.
There's going to be, listen, the more events there are, the more chance you've got of winning one. As soon as you snap one off, then you're getting paid a lot of money, and it's simple as that, And what we've been missing is players over the last years or so. Top 10 finishes aren't enough to keep you going for an entire year, but it will be. You'll be talking about, if you can get yourself deep in tournaments, you'll be earning your money back. You won't be having to get quarterfinals of tournaments just to pay off the expenses it took you to get there, which is the way it kind of has been the last years. Just to get your money back from what you've paid out to travel, you need a quarterfinal just to break even. That's not going to be the case in a couple of years.
Now we'll find out Now we'll find out which of the pros can't handle money. Find out which ones are still going to be broke with it.
Well, you can already see
we
that.
know of some that we know of some that managed that when there was millions up for grabs. So,
right. So I guess the last thing that I wanted to discuss was the Predator One sport, because I don't know, I think it's an interesting thing, and kind of I mean, a lot of people have asked me why I haven't done virtual events in the last year. Well, they worked their butt off and barely got it filled. I mean, Jim, you had to pull out at the last second because of COVID, but you only got your entry. I mean, I reached out to you basically saying, hey, they need a couple of people. You want to play in this? Like, what, 2 days before you had to pull out because of COVID?
yeah.
I mean, they were looking for people up until like 3 days before this event actually started. I mean, that's the top pros just do not want to play in virtual events. And I mean, if you look at the players that were playing in that, some of those top players I've never even heard of. I mean,
and then Dave, looking back at it on my part of the draw as well, the scores that were getting you through into the semi-finals, finals. Yeah,
had a chance, right?
I don't mean any offense to the guys that were playing, but wasn't great. It was pretty poor, to be honest.
But all in all, I did.
If you're playing 10 racks of 10 ball and you're only making 41 balls and still getting through, yeah, great.
So all in all, I watched quite a bit of it. It was very entertaining. I mean, it's great. I mean, a lot of the matches came down to. I mean, you couldn't have had a better final. The final had Jose Delgado, Aloysius Yap, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and Jonas Soto. And going into the last rack, all four of the players could have won.
Could win it.
I mean, that's pretty interesting.
That's pretty strong.
Jose Delgado ends up winning it. Great player from Spain. And Aloysius Yap gets second place. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz gets third. And Jonas Soto gets fourth. What is going on with your camera, Mike? Oh, now you're good. Right when you looked up, it worked. Okay, I don't know. So congratulations, Jose Delgado. Great player. He kind of gets, I guess, overlooked as the Spaniard because of Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
So he's the Max Lechner of Spain.
Yes, yeah, basically. And
that's
David
also
Al-Qaedi, but I'm telling you what, he's a great player.
But that's also what myself and Nate have learned, and me especially over the last couple of years with the whole COVID. Ghost Pool is a leveler, If you made a world ranking on Ghost Pool, there'd be a lot of different names in there than what you're looking at just now on the reel. It's a leveler. There's a lot of the skills of the game that are just sort of taken away. They're not advantages for players anymore. And so you see in these Ghost events, not always the top. Obviously, there are some of them that they stick out around the rest. But you're always going to have these names coming through. But you thought, hold on a second, I didn't know about him. So it's been good for a lot of players. It's been good for like the likes of Ivan Maluto. He's made a name for himself on the Ghost scene and really got a lot of attention. And people are starting to notice his game.
Same with Wonderboy.
Interesting to see how he gets on in real live events.
Elijah Alvarez too, Wonderboy.
Elijah Alvarez, Wonderboy, yeah, very good player as well. And you've got Delgado now, won a big tournament there. So yeah, it's been good for a lot. A lot of the pros don't like it, but it's been good for quite a few other players. They've made a bit of a name for themselves. So good luck to them. Yeah. Whether or not it's a sustainable thing, whether or not it's going to be something we're still going to be seeing in the coming years or not, I have my doubts. Not on a professional level, perhaps on an amateur level. But
I mean, I won't be doing any more of them unless something drastic happens and the world shuts down again.
I'll keep playing them as long as people are donating money to me, which they basically seem to be at the moment.
Attaboy.
So, I guess any other announcements, Mike, Rob, you guys want to make?
No, I think we're good, buddy. We're already
We're
in the
good.
90-minute mark.
Yeah,
Jim?
we're a couple hours in.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just having a very short, just getting your views on it very, very quickly on the whole Corey Jewell thing with breaking with the bridge. I'm not entirely sure if it's legal.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Because it says in the rules that any of the equipment that's supplied on the table has to be only used in the manner that it was designed to be used for.
Oh.
And it's not designed to be used to break with. It's been designed to use to if you've got an obstruction in front of you or if you've got a difficulty in reaching.
Huh. That's interesting.
So is he breaking the rules by using it?
I have a good friend who had an accident with a chainsaw. He is a pool player in Wisconsin, a very, very good one. And he's a 3-cushion billiard player now. And he doesn't have the use of his left hand. Craig Powers, yes. He doesn't have the use of his left hand. So he can't make a bridge. He can't form a bridge. He can shoot on the rail because his fingers will lay on the rail. But on the table, he can't use an open bridge. He can't form a bridge. So he made a clasp that goes over at the end of his fingers with a little U-shaped trawl kind of thing in it. And that's what he slides the pool cue through. He has no other way to shoot. Now, I've never asked.
Yeah, but that's a bit that's different though.
That is different than somebody just doing it because they want to. He's forced to use that kind of a thing for a bridge. But I don't see that much difference between that and just voluntarily using a bridge to break with.
Because you have a choice.
You do have a choice, yes.
If Craig was using that and he wasn't and he didn't need it, then I think it's a good. And I do actually know a few people. I've seen a couple people who will use those types of things because their hands get the humidity or something like that.
Well, how about this jump thing? This little jump device that's got the 2 little U-shaped things in it that you put out in the center of the table if you can't reach, and you use that to jump with.
So then you can make the argument if you have like really tiny little fingers, jumping gets harder for you than it would be for somebody like me who has long fingers for jumping.
Yeah, but they did that with Earl. They did that with Earl. They took his fingers away. He put extended fingers on his hands because he felt like it gave him a little bit better. And they said, no, you can't use them.
His sausage fingers?
It's the same with you. I've seen it before in snooker, and I've seen it in pool as well. If a player has to bridge over a ball and they're slightly stretching that they have to bridge over the ball, they put the rest or the rake, as you call it, instead of going down, holding it like that away from you and playing down it, they put it across and then they put their fingers on top of it, which gives them extra height, and then they bridge over the ball. That's not what it's designed to be used for, and that should be illegal, but I've seen it happening and nobody ever puts anything out about it. But I'm not, the rules are not specific. It just says that all the equipment, the equipment they use has to be the equipment that's registered and allowed to be used during the game, and it has to be used in the manner that it was designed to be used for. And that's not what it's designed to be used for.
It wouldn't be the first time they had to adjust some rules for Corey Jewell.
No, true.
So
he is the most innovative player that's ever been. He will find ways to.
I mean, listen, he got to the hot seat with it, all the success in the world with it. I would hate to go and see like if he's playing for a World 10-ball championship, for as an example, and see him there like in the TV arena breaking with the bridge. I think that would look a little silly. But yeah, I mean, to each their own, right? I agree with you, Jim. But I guess it's really up to the promoter, how they want to go and enforce it or whatever.
Like any other tournament, the tournament director decides whether or not it's allowed or not. And
I mean, I'm sure Ed would have said no, you ain't gonna do it.
If Corey's gone to them beforehand and says, I intend to break like this, is that okay? And they've said, yeah, sure, okay. Then you go ahead and you do it. It's no problem.
Personally, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Me neither. If it's if it's legit and it's allowed and it's there's no controversy about it, then I got no issue with it. I'm not entirely sure what kind of benefit he gets from it. Maybe he feels like he's
Well, the idea.
I can't imagine it would be a benefit.
Well, maybe
I think
he's
the
just
idea-
feeling like he's maybe when he's trying to put a little bit of force into his
No.
break, he's reaching forward and his arms going, and with that, it's not giving the opportunity. I'm not
There's
sure.
something.
The reason he's doing it is because he can't get his hand high enough to where he can get the proper pop in his 10-ball break that he thinks he needs to get.
Oh, so he can't get his bridge high enough.
Yes, so he not high enough and stable. This is what I understand from it. He cannot get his bridge high enough. He cannot get his bridge high enough with his hand
to get the pop.
To get the proper pop into the 10-ball break that he wants to get. So that is why he's using the bridge, because it gets
so like you're coming in
higher.
and he wants it to be at a different angle. Then
he wants
to be coming down onto the center of the ball and get it bouncing. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it.
To be fair, kudos to him for getting the power that he gets out of it, because you try doing that and try and get the accuracy and the power. It's not easy using that bridge. It's not easy.
I've seen pictures of him back when he was like in his mid 20s or late 20s and he's doing this. So it's not like this started this week. I mean, he's been doing it for he's 40. No, he's not even. Is he 41? Maybe 42, something like that.
Is he in his 40s? It could be.
He's definitely in his 40s because he's on the Hall of Fame banquet. He's on the Hall of Fame ballot, so he's definitely over 40 years old.
Yeah. He will be, of course. Of course, he will be. Yeah.
So the idea, Trevor says he wasn't breaking that hard at all. Well, that's kind of the idea. Is if you
don't need to if you get the right pop on it.
If you're getting the proper elevation onto your cue, the idea is you're basically just trying to control the white off the head ball, and you're trying to get a little bit of a pop off of the break to open up those wing balls into the side pocket. If you're elevating a little bit more, your cue ball is going to go a little bit higher in the air off of contact, and you're not going to need to get as much power into it. So I think that's the point. Is it definitely Trevor? Next time we work together, just let me know. I'll show you exactly what he's doing, and it does absolutely matter. It completely everything matters. I promise you. I'll show you.
Well,
exactly
if there's no friction on the cue ball until it leaves the tip of your cue till it touches the first ball, it's got to be better.
Well, put it this way: Corey Joe is one of the most intelligent players, and like we said, he finds out these little things, and he's in it. If it didn't make a difference, he wouldn't be doing it.
He wouldn't be doing it, right?
Absolutely,
really.
So, I guess with that, let's wrap this up. Thanks for bringing that up, because I did want to talk about that.
That was nice.
So thanks, Jim. Other than that, let's get out of here. And thanks again for joining us, everybody. And thanks everybody for watching.
Later, sports fans.